This is the METS POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The Mets rally from a 3-0 deficit, but missed two major chances to walk this one off, and they lose to an inside-the-park home run to even this series up at 1. Welcome into the Mets Postcast here live, the Locked On Mets YouTube channel. You can always listen to us in the Locked On Mets podcast feed. Your Postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. And boy, was this a tough one for New York. It was a tough one early as miscues once again. Sloppiness led the Mets to a 3-0 deficit. They rally back in the 8th and the 9th innings to tie this game up. But it is a pair of missed opportunities in this game that lead the Mets to still be searching this late in the season for that first win after trailing through 8 innings. And door swung wide open a little bit for the Reds and the Diamondbacks in the National League wild card race. There's no other word to describe it other than disappointing because Mets didn't play well early in this game. Sloppiness dug them an early deficit. They battled back. Chances were there to win it. You'd feel really good about stealing this one, but instead it is setting up for a very important one tomorrow, one that feels very much like a must win. Let's jump right into it. What you'll be talking about, it is those extra inning opportunities for the Mets.
This is what you'll be talking about.
In the 9th inning, and I already see somebody mentioning it in the chat. That's why I have it up high on the show rundown. I want to make one thing very clear to everybody. The Mets did not lose this game because of Cedric Mullins and the way he played Lyle's inside the park home run in the 11th. The Mets lost this game in the 9th inning when they had the bases loaded with one out and Brandon Nimmo struck out and they were unable to get the run across in the bottom of the 9th. The Mets lost this game in the 10th inning when, after holding the Nats scoreless in the top half, they don't score a run. One run. That's all they needed was run. Bunt the guy over, sac fly brings him in. They were trying to do that with Acuna, but you hold a team scoreless. I think in today's baseball, with the way the extra inning rules are set up, it is inexcusable for the home team after they keep a team off the board. They hold a team to a 0 in the top part of an extra inning to not win the baseball game. You have a runner at second. You just need one. It's one of those rare times where bunting actually makes sense because you know what the game result is. You need one run to win. The reason why you don't bunt early in a game is because you don't know how many runs you're going to need to win the game. You know in that spot, one run gives you the victory. And so to me, Cedric Mullins doesn't have the opportunity to misplay or catch Lyle's ball to the deep part of the ballpark if the Mets score in the 9th inning and if the Mets score in the bottom of the 10th inning. None of that in the 11th inning. Mullins is at bat, the misplay in the field. None of it happens if the Mets, if Brandon Nimmo, if the bottom part of the inning in the 10th, they get it done before we even get to the 11th inning. That's where the game was lost. That is where the blame should go. The bottom of the 9th and the bottom of the 10th. That is where this game was lost for the New York Mets because they had it. Bases loaded with one out. Just a ball hit to not even deep left center or right field. Just a ball hit decently to the outfield would have gotten the run in the bottom of the 9th. And then in the 10th inning, you just got to get the runner over. And I know Acuna laid the bunt down and it set up first and second, but you just have to score in those opportunities. You can't hold a team scoreless in the top of the 10th and not score the run. Just it's inexcusable. You rallied to get back into this game. You put yourself in a position in both the bottom of the 9th and the bottom of the 10th. You've got to find a way to score that run. You were sloppy again today. You were sloppy again as a baseball team. Soto misplayed a ball in right field. That led to a run. Just sloppiness dug this team an early deficit. Credit to them for battling back and getting themselves back into it. But what good is it if you're not going to come through in the 9th and the 10th when it's right there? The Nats are trying to give it to you. They're trying to give the game to you. They're trying to give it to you in the top of the 11th with C.J. Abrams running into the first out. The Nats are trying to hand you this game in the 9th, 10th, and 11th innings, and you just didn't take it. And if we look back at the end of the year and this team misses the playoffs on a tiebreaker, there's going to be plenty of games like this on the calendar. So it's just a really frustrating and disappointing loss from this squad because they had it. They were out of this game early. They dug themselves that early deficit, like we mentioned, but the Nats tried to just welcome them, roll the mat out, red carpet style, to get the Mets back into this game, and they were unable to get it done. We need to talk about Nolan McLean's start in this one. Bullpen actually pitched really well. I know some of you are questioning whether or not the Mets should have gone to Edwin Diaz for that second inning. We'll discuss that. I'll share my thoughts. We'll get to all of it here on the other side. This episode brought to you by Zippix Toothpicks. Whether you're looking for a nicotine satisfaction or an energy boost, Zippix has you covered with their nicotine and caffeine-infused toothpicks. For nicotine users, Zippix provides a discreet way to satisfy cravings and the hand-to-mouth habit without vaping or smoking. Zippix can be a helpful tool as you work to reduce your dependence on vaping. It's available in 6 great flavors, 2 milligram, 3 milligram nicotine options. And if you need energy without the crash, their caffeine toothpicks are a game changer. Go to zippixtoothpicks.com. Use the code LOCKEDON for 10% off your first order. Must be 21 or older to order. Warning, nicotine is an addictive chemical. That's zippixtoothpicks.com. Promo code LOCKEDON. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix Toothpicks. It's football tomorrow. This episode brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I, we make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. Football, we mentioned, is back. Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. All you do is you pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-hour energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most, how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the flavors you love or be bold and try something new in-store and online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. Back here, Mets Postcast, Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed, recapping a frustrating, disappointing Mets loss. Every one of these games just feels like it is a playoff atmosphere. Mets holding on to a slim lead for that third and final wild card spot, and they were gift wrapped this one. They were down early, came back, had chances in the 9th and 10th, couldn't get it done. An inside the park home run dooms them there in the 11th. And let's talk about one of the other decisions in this game that many of you, I see it in the YouTube comments, are frustrated about. And that was the decision to go to Tyler Rogers in the 11th, then going to Edwin Diaz for a second inning. And listen, I hear you. Edwin Diaz is clearly the Mets' best reliever. Edwin Diaz is clearly the reliever that you and I trust the most. If we were creating, I forget what phrase we use here on the postcast, we call it the trust tree, the circle of trust, whatever phrase we've come up with. We've used, I think, both throughout the course of the season. Edwin Diaz is probably the only member of the trust tree, circle of trust, that has been in there all throughout the season. And so I understand why you would want Diaz to go a second inning in that spot, just because you would rather have him because he's the most trusted reliever. But Rodgers has also been good, and so I don't want to second guess the manager in that spot. And the way I tend to try to evaluate these things, and the postcasts were instant reaction moments after the game ends. When I'm sitting down and I'm watching the game and I see a move, what is my immediate reaction to the move? And I'll tell you, sitting in this chair, watching the game on my television screen, when Rodgers came into the game, I didn't think twice about it. I didn't think, man, Diaz should have been in there for a second inning. It didn't move me in a way to say that was a mistake from Carlos Mendoza. I hear you. He could have done that, and I would have been on board with that, but I was also on board with the move to go to Rodgers. And unfortunately, you got a guy who can fly on the base paths. And again, We never get to the 11th inning. I want to make this very clear, and I'm repeating myself. I get it. But I want to make something very, very clear. We don't get to Rogers in the 11th. We don't get to Cedric Mullins misplaying that ball and then his at-bat in the bottom of the 11th. None of it happens if when the base is loaded in the bottom of the 9th, the Mets get the sac fly. I mean, they had the Nats and the entire Washington organization on the back foot there. I mean, they were spinning. Didn't take advantage. Edwin Diaz gives you that shutdown 10th inning, a 0 in extras. You don't get zeros in extras very often. You got one. You're the home team. And you don't score a run there. I'm sorry. I'm not going to put this loss on what happened in the 11th inning. All of those things are real. They happened. We saw them with our own two eyes. Yes, Cedric Mullins misplayed that ball. Yes, Cedric Mullins had a bad at-bat in the bottom of the 11th. Yes, maybe they should have stayed with Edwin Diaz. None of it matters if in the 9th and the 10th innings, the Mets get the job done. And that's the thing that frustrates me the most here. The sharpness wasn't there today. The sharpness wasn't there early in the game that led the Mets to be in this deficit. The sharpness wasn't there for those at-bats in the 9th inning, those at-bats in the 10th inning. They just lacked the sharpness to finish this game off. And with Cincinnati, believe they're winning right now against Chicago. The Diamondbacks playing a little bit later today. We could wake up tomorrow, get ready to watch the Mets baseball. They could only have a one-game lead for that third and final playoff spot. Why? Because they lack the sharpness. This is 2 straight games, ladies and gentlemen, of them lacking the sharpness. They got away with it last night. We opened the postcast talking about how they were sloppy. They were sloppy again today. They were sloppy defensively. The entire game was sloppy. Errors across the board in this game. The Mets for 2 straight days have lacked the sharpness. They got away with it last night. They didn't get away with it here this afternoon, and unfortunately, it's coming at the worst possible time. This isn't a managerial decision. This is execution. These are at-bats in the 9th. These are at-bats in the 10th. The bullpen was great in this game. Great. Huascar Brazoban gave the Mets 5 outs. Richard Lovelady gave the Mets 4 outs in this one. Ryan Helsley, another solid inning from him. I mean, the Mets got what they needed. Mark Vientos comes through with the pinch hit. Double that set things in motion. Got the Mets 3-2. Juan Soto comes up with the big hit. They're showing, I'm not listening. He's up there on my television screen. Carlos Mendoza doing the SNY postcast. And I'll credit to SNY for putting this up there. 3 for 16 with runners in scoring position, including the 2 at-bats in the 9th and the 3 at-bats in the 10th. 5 at-bats, 0 for 5. Couldn't get the run in. That's where this game was lost. And that's what's so frustrating is because you didn't play well enough early in this game. Nolan McLean, I thought was fine in this one. Battled around, only the 1 run technically earned in this one. And that's what he just does. Really, the only way that you score runs against Nolan McLean is with miscues someplace else. He's been really solid. But this is what happens when you have a young rotation that you're turning to. They're going to hit some blips. It's not all going to be easy. It's not all going to be perfect. Expecting perfection from Nolan McLean is unfair to Nolan McLean. Walking into this game and saying, kid, you got to give me 6 or 7 scoreless. That's unfair to put on Nolan McLean. He's a kid being thrust into a spot to try to save a team's season, to try to push them to the postseason because the rest of their rotation is in shambles. So I thought he was fine today. Thought he did the job, did everything the Mets could have asked him to do. They came back. They forced this game into extras. But man, it's just a rule that I live by in this new age of extra innings. If you're the home team and you keep a team scoreless, it's inexcusable. Play small ball. Get that run in. Inexcusable. Acuna lays down the bunt. The Mets get away with not having the interference call against them. Then the double play. I mean, just a complete mess. That's where this game was lost. And unfortunately, a series that we all thought really needed to be a must sweep to put full pressure on Cincinnati and Arizona. You gave this one away today. You had your chances late to steal another game because you stole last night. I know what the final score said, but you stole that one because you didn't play well in that game either. So just really, really frustrating play here over the last 2 days. The Mets were lucky to win last night, unlucky to win tonight. I guess it all evens out here in the end. That leads us to tomorrow. For the Mets, I do not like using the term must win when it is not an elimination game, but boy, does tomorrow feel like a must win for this ball club. Boy, does tomorrow feel like one they absolutely have to have if they want to keep these playoff hopes alive. I know mathematically they'll have the rest of the week, but if at home you can't take 2 out of 3 from the lowly Washington Nationals, do you really deserve to be a postseason team? And that's the thought that I keep having in my mind. Do you deserve to be a postseason team when you play like the way the Mets played today? Do you deserve to be a postseason team when you play as sloppy as the Mets did today? Do you deserve to be a postseason team when you miss the chances in the ninth and in extras the way the Mets did? I don't know. I think the answer to the question is no. So they are going to have to very quickly turn this around. It's Sean Manaea going tomorrow for the Mets. Clay Holmes as a part of the piggyback. So we'll see how the inverse worked last time with Holmes starting Manaea out of the pen. We'll see how it works in the inverse here with Manaea on the mound and Holmes out of the pen. Programming note. No post-game show from me tomorrow. I will be handling the Jets side of things. So if you are a Jets fan, you'll be watching the Jets take on the Bucks tomorrow. You can hang out with me over on the Locked On Jets YouTube channel. I'll be over there doing that. Don't worry, I'm back next week for I believe the remaining 6 games of the Mets series. So we will be here to finish off this season. But tomorrow, I'll be over on the Jets side of things. Make sure if you are new here, subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that you are notified when we go live. After the Mets conclude, a tough one today for the Mets. Didn't play well early, rallied late, couldn't complete the comeback. And that 9th inning and the dreams of me being able to open the show by saying the Mets got their first win of the season when trailing after 8 innings. I was dreaming up how I was going to phrase it. Didn't get a chance to because Nimmo, that strikeout was brutal. Mets couldn't do anything in the 10th. And then the inside the park home run felt like when it happened, you're like, yep, that's what you get for missing the 2 opportunities earlier in the game. That is going to do it for us here on the Mets Postcast. A tough one. The Mets need to bounce back tomorrow. They need to at least salvage a series win here and do some scoreboard watching. We'll leave you with this. As we get done here, it's the bottom of the 4th in Cincinnati. The Reds lead 2-1. The Diamondbacks not in action just yet. They get started here about 20 minutes from when you're hearing this, if you're watching us live here on the YouTube channel. So as things stand going into the rest of the evening, the Mets have just a 1.5 game lead over the Reds, a 2.5 game lead over the Diamondbacks. A Reds win will make that just 1 game with 7 to go. It'll be 2 over the Diamondbacks with 7 to go. So that is where the scoreboard sits as we get out of here today on the Postcasts. We're back again tomorrow. Oh, and we're not back again tomorrow. See, I fell into my old habits. I'm over on the Jets side of things tomorrow. You're back again tomorrow. You'll be watching the Mets. I'll have them on the other screen tomorrow while I also watch the Jets take on the Bucks. We are back again Tuesday, opener of the series with Chicago on the Mets Postcast. Until then, have a good one, Mets fans.